Good morning, everyone. We are continuing our work with angles today, and today our focus will be working with vertical angles. So, to give you a visual, here are two pairs of vertical angles. They are opposite angles that are congruent, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. Our learning target for today is I can solve problems with vertical angles. So, vertical angles. As I said, vertical angles are a pair of opposite angles made by two intersecting lines. So, here's another example of vertical angles. They are across from each other and they are both equal. So, vertical angles, we call them congruent. Congruent is a fancy word in math that means that they are equal to each other. One way that I remember vertical angles is that they are across from each other at the vertex. So that vertex where the angles meet, that is where they are, where you can see them across from each other. Here's one more example of vertical angles. So as you can see, the two angles that are 70 degrees are vertical, and then the other pair of vertical angles are the two angles that are 110 degrees, and those are the ones that are across from each other. So each pair of intersecting lines is going to have two pairs of vertical angles, and those are the ones that are right across from each other. Some of the practice problems with vertical angles. So a problem might look like this where it says solve for x. Right away, I recognize that the blue and green angles are vertical because they are across from each other at the vertex. And if x is equal to, if the blue angle is 133 degrees, then the green angle will be 133 degrees because they have to be equal. So x is equal to 133 degrees. This is another type of problem that you might see that is actually going to combine what we learned yesterday with supplementary angles. So we want to solve and figure out what x, y, and z are equal to. So first thing I notice is that 76 and y, those two angles are vertical. So if they are vertical, they're going to be equal to each other. So y is equal to 76. The next thing I notice is that 76 degrees and x are supplementary because they form a straight line. If they are supplementary, they will have to add up to 180 degrees. So I wrote my equation, x plus 76 equals 180, and to solve it, I'll subtract 76 from both sides. I now know that x is equal to 104 degrees. The only letter that's left is z, and I can tell that z and x are vertical angles because they are across from each other at the vertex. If x is 104 degrees, z must also be 104 degrees. So now we've solved for all of the missing angles. One other type of practice problem that you might see would look like this. So right away, I notice that the identified angles are vertical. If they are vertical angles, they will be congruent or equal to each other. When I write an equation, I'll set one angle equal to the other. So 2x plus 6 is equal to 96. To solve this equation, I will subtract 6 from both sides, and I'm left with 2x equals 90. My next step is to divide both sides by 2, and I figure out that x is equal to 45 degrees. And that is the end of this lesson. So this was a quick one. And you'll notice that all of these different angle relationships are important and kind of you'll be working with all of them together. So this was the last part of that angle, and you will complete a practice assignment now.